Ladies and gentlemen, this is internet personality Vangelus here with a look at the first infantry figure in Oritoy's Acid Rain line, who came out quite a while ago. The Soul Commander was the release to finally show us what kind of toys would be piloting vehicles like the Stronghold, and what Oritoy's approach to 4-inch figure design would be in general. It also debuted the friggin' awesome Acid Rain micro shoebox packaging that their single infantry figures have received since, which hits tons of my personal preferences, from compact size to foam inlays to striking front cover art. On a slipcover, no less! The Soul Commander was our first look at the pilots and infantry of the world of Acid Rain and delivered to us a message of being like G.I. Joes, mixed with 3A and kinda lanky. Dressed in a sorta desert-themed palette of beige, brown, orange, and green, the Soul Commander definitely delivers his money's worth in the paint department. The sculpt is also quite strong as long as you're okay with cuts for the sake of articulation, and you buy toys, so I hope you are. They are the most distracting at the thigh swivels and ankle tilts, but I am entirely okay with sacrificing a bit of seamlessness in order to gain more movement. However, his arms look a little too long and thin for no reason other than artistic license, and, well, this is an artist-driven line, so I guess that's his prerogative. The head's got some piercing goggle paint apps, and those goggles are attached to a helmet, and that helmet, wait for it, can be removed. And he's got a gas mask on underneath his helmet and goggles. Layered goggles, man. I don't know what the citizens of the Acid Rain world have done, but clearly they broke oxygen something fierce. The vest can also be removed if you want, revealing a sleeveless shirt sculpt and making the Soul Commander look even skinnier. War's rough on everybody, man. This guy only includes one weapon, a fairly enormous monotone rifle. It looks alright, if rather unwieldy, and can be held solidly in either hand. I was happily impressed to see that the Soul Commander is able to carry his rifle properly in two hands so that he can, I don't know, snipe tanks. Speaking of tanks, how does this guy fit inside of a stronghold? Pretty well, but he was not the magic case of, this is who the cockpit was meant for, that I know a couple of us were expecting. He fits in there about as well as any given unarmored, unbulked G.I. Joe, except that he has a few more joints to help him squish into the seat. It's not bad, it's just that I was expecting him to have a more natural view out of the upper hatchway. The Soul Commander's gotta scoot up there to peek out of there, like anybody else. While these guys look very G.I. Joe-ish, their posability is a little bit more advanced. But up top, there is just a big ball socket joint for the head, and then a ball socket joint at the base of the neck. So there's a ball there and a ball there. The top ball joint is kind of grippy and a little bit spongy, so it is posable, but I find it's a bit creakier to use, and often I end up, whether or not I intend to, just moving the lower ball joint around most of the time. The shoulders are on pin disc universal joints with very good tension of plastic and extremely light detent inside that doesn't get in the way of anything, just sort of helps them hold their position. The bicep swivels on my Soul Commander are pretty darn loose. Not so loose as to prevent him from assuming some poses, like I can get your helmet back on, dude. Get him back up here and back down here, and his arms are all like, hey, they're not losing anything, but they also move super easily, and I may try to tighten them up somehow, though I'm not sure how. His elbows are detented. They can bend up to 90 degrees, and there are 3 detents through that arc. Feels really good and snappy. I don't think you can really stop between detents, but I have yet to find a position where I wish I could get between them, because, I mean, this is perfectly straight, and there's the first bend. It feels very natural to me. The wrists can swivel, and then each hand has a different hinge. Again, very G.I. Joe-like. This hand has a hinge that allows it to bend like that, and then this hand has a hinge that allows it to bend like that. And I think this is all to facilitate a proper grip on the firearm, but also reminds me very much of G.I. Joe. There is a waist swivel, and then there's a torso joint, which is doing something, but I'll quickly get his vest out of the way so you can see it a little more clearly. In fact, I'll rip his head off, too, because I care. I really care. I'm disrobing this poor Soul Commander fast as possible. The mid-torso joint is a ball joint, a very smooth and tight ball joint with a large amount of crunching range, and then a little bit of a swivelly range, and just a touch of side-to-side cartwheel range as well. Really good joint in there, and the rubber vest doesn't prevent it from working, but it definitely can be more dynamic and acrobatic without the vest on. His hips are simple ball joints, with a decent, 7.625 on the Van Damme scale. And then taking a step up from G.I. Joe's, there's also a big dedicated thigh swivel, which is the thing I wish was on more G.I. Joe toys. It feels really good and smooth, as does that ball joint. There is a very detented, clicky, double-jointed knee. And the detents on here, again, there's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 to get to a straight position. And then if you want, there's one more if you want to, like, simulate a horrific war injury, like a stronghold stepped on him or something. The only thing about the knee is that it can be tricky to figure out, like, which joint you want to which knee joint you want to bend. Twisting would be horrific again. When you're trying to just get a subtle knee bend, because I never really know if I want to move the top one or the bottom one, and I try to move them in alternating patterns so the kneecap thing stays in the right place. The top of the shoe, or the top of the ankle joint, really, can swivel left and right, and then the ankle has a big old tilt, and then a big old hinge. And it's basically that thing where it's a pin disc, and the pin goes into what is the ankle tilt. The sculpt on this guy is broken up a little bit, especially down around here, for the sake of the posability. But given the lanky, post-apocalyptic, acid, dirty aesthetic, I find it kind of works. I don't feel like I really wish there was a smoother sculpt going on here. This guy looks like a denizen of a world. It doesn't feel like I've got a Soul Commander who then got hacked up so he could actually move. I don't know how to put it. He's broken up, but something about it, between the paint and the actual sculpting, kind of works for me. And as you can see, he stands pretty darn solid, given that he's got, doesn't have the biggest standing foot base in the world. He's just got a pair of little shoes on. But you push him down, right? He holds position pretty well. He can do, I don't know, let's give him the test. Can you ride or kick? Let's get this up like this. This like this. Oh, yeah. Soul Commander rider kick. His head comes off pretty easily when I man-fist him like that, but nonetheless, test passed. He hella kicked that wall. Giving us our first taste of Oritoy's infantry figures for the Acid Rain line, the Soul Commander had a lot of pressure on him and perhaps buckled under it just a bit. He's a great 18th scale army man with respectable sculpting and paintwork, along with impressive costume layering in his helmet and vest. But he's just a fella in a hat and shirt with a gun. Obviously, he's first and foremost meant to pilot your strongholds, or come packed in with your speeder Mark IIs. And obviously, there have been much stronger single-figure infantry releases in Acid Rain since. But Soul Commander bravely threw himself out there in the line of fire before anyone else, and I've always had a soft spot of respect for the little guy ever since. I don't recommend this guy as a first taste of Acid Rain, as there are plenty of better infantry releases for that, between the Agert's infantry and Buck Squad members. But hey, if you want a simple fella who wears goggles on his goggles, by all means. He's a decent second or third purchase. Just don't complain when you dig through his box looking for, well, anything extra. Anyway, this has been Internet Personality Vangelus, and Acid Rain moved into a big-time swing of momentum after the Soul Commander made his first appearance. That is, after he made his first appearance in 3 separate toy releases nearly at the same time.